Hi, everybody.
I don't hear you.
Okay. We've got some. Can you hear me now? Just bear with us. We were all good a few minutes ago, and now we've got some technical things going on. All right. While Shelley is just Shelley's internet has been slightly iffy, and she didn't have sound then. Can you hear me now? I'm just going to write her a note. All right. Welcome to Love Speaks Love. I am just going to double check that we are live on Facebook. I don't know if anyone else is having technical stuff today, but my phone's not recognising my thumbprint and it keeps going to switch itself off. All right. So I'll just go to my page. Feels like the energy is pretty strong for this call, so that might be affecting things as well. Interesting. Wow, this is really slow. Really slow. Goodness gracious me. All right, so while I'm waiting for my phone to work, I'm waiting for Shelley to come back. I'll just speak a little bit about Love Speaks Love. So I'm your host, Denise. And Love Speaks Love is a way of bringing us together. It's a platform for us to speak heart to heart. Often my guests seem to do light language, but that is not a prerequisite. It just happens that a lot of my friends and a lot of the people I know speak light language. So it's a way of kind of bringing hubs together as well, because we all have our little families, our little extended families, and now they're starting to overlap, and now we're kind of all coming together. Okay, I'm going to share this while I wait for Shelley to come back. I can't believe it's a week already since I did that live forum. Okay, I'm just going to share it to a few places. And if anyone else feels to share, if you find you're in resonance with this show, then Shelley's having difficulty getting on Zoom. So last time, Shelley was actually my very first guest, and we couldn't get on Facebook at all. No, is that right? No. What happened was I wanted to not go through Zoom originally. I wanted to just do a Facebook Live, a normal Facebook Live, and bring someone on as a guest. And that very week, Facebook stopped doing that. And I only realised once I started the call. So then we went on to Zoom. And last week, when Shelley was supposed to be a guest, they brought that feature back. Yay!
Yay!
You're here!
I'm here!
Welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
So Shelley reached out to me a while ago. I think we were on the same, we were on a call with Yukia. I have a feeling it was one of the water cleansing calls. I think that was where you reached out, and I know you felt a real resonance with our light language. And I've no idea when that was. It must be at least, is it 2 years ago? I've no idea.
I think so.
But yeah, we have a lovely connection.
Yeah.
Shelley is an amazing being. Shelley has an animal sanctuary. She does light language, she does sessions, she's a Reiki master. And I'll let you add anything to this. And she has a beautiful vision for building a community as well. So I'll let you speak more on that later. But I would just like to do the little heart to heart connect. Since my hand's there already.
Yes.
And it might help just kind of dissipate the energies. It might not, but who knows? All right. So taking a few long and slow deep breaths. Feeling gratitude and joy in our hearts as we gather together. Breathing in love and breathing out love. And visualizing that love moving around your body, going into every cell. And connecting my heart to Shelley's. And our hearts to all of you present with us live on the call. All of you watching the replay. And all of you watching on YouTube. And connecting all of our hearts with the heart of Gaia. The crystalline diamond heart of Gaia. And connecting to the New Earth templates. And the crystalline grid of energy deep in the earth. And visualizing a beautiful web of energy creating itself now all around the globe. And I see this in gold, full of love. Knowing that that web of energy not only reaches all the way around the globe, but it goes deep down into the heart of Gaia. And connecting our hearts to the heart of the sun, the solar logos, the moon, and source creator. Connecting our hearts to all of the beings of inner earth. And actually giving thanks to the guardians and the ancestors of the lands that we find ourselves upon, wherever you are in the globe. Feeling also the presence of the elementals, the dragons, the unicorns, and all of the sound healers on the planet. And feeling the presence of many animal beings. Feeling their love and their gratitude for you, Shelley, and for all of us on the call. And as we breathe deeply in, maybe just saying to our hearts, I love you. I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
And opening our eyes when we're ready.
Thank you.
I feel present and connected.
Yes. Yes. Those last minute technical difficulties. Yeah. So thank you.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Now. And we're earlier than we were the first time. on the first.
Right on. Yes.
I wanted to ask you about your connection with the animals, because you obviously have a really deep love and a deep connection to the animal kingdom, and just nature generally, really. And I wondered if you could maybe speak around if you're feeling that connection stronger at the moment, if you felt it change of recent times. Because speaking for myself, I feel the energies from the trees, the birds, everything is so much more vocal, it's so much more present. They're coming in closer. Like the interactions with the animals are just way stronger, and I'm hearing them, like I'm hearing their messages so much more easily.
Yeah, I've had a close connection with animals, you know, my whole life, but I didn't really have the conscious awareness that I do now, and I wasn't as allowing or believing in the messages that I was receiving from them. And so I've been healing animals my whole life, but as far as like just like walking through the woods and having, you know, birds give me messages and things like that, that's completely amplified. And everywhere I go, you know, I'm getting guided to clear this or speak over here and do this. And like, just for example, a friend and I went to a Cherokee ancient site, and we didn't realize on our way there that it had just been vandalized. And so we were guided to go there. And it's interesting, when we were driving there, my friend was just like, oh gosh, like, do you still want to go? And I was just like, absolutely, yes, we're supposed to go there now. There's some clearing work that needs to be done. And so, you know, the rock was talking to me and you know, sharing with me what had happened. And I was just like, oh gosh, okay, well, here, let's clear this. And then we're off on the adventure, and we're like, oh, let's stop here. Let's, you know, qualify this river with violet fire and have every drop of violet fire from this water purify all the waters that it comes into contact with. So everywhere where I'm going, I'm just kind of in this flow of surrender to getting messages from water and trees and rocks and animals, and it's beautiful. It's lovely. I'm so grateful.
Thank you for bringing the rocks in there as well. And apologies, rocks, I forgot to bring you into that.
Yes.
And to me, it's like, you know, rock faces, crystal kingdom, it's whatever. And some of the photos of you, when you were all sitting on that rock, it was like you'd all shrunk. It's like you'd all become fairies, and that rock was like normal size.
I know. Yeah. She's a beautiful being, and we just tool around together and singing light language and speaking light language. And yeah, it's a beautiful remembrance that we have together.
Are you able to describe the process of how you like tune in your frequency to pick up these messages, or is it these days just so strong that you don't even have to do anything, that it just, you know, drops in?
In the beginning, it was more consciously connecting, but now I feel like I have such a connection with my higher self that I'm in this place of just of receiving. And in the beginning, when I started this, I've surrendered myself to God to be of service. And so I just opened myself up to be a clear channel of God's love, and however that comes through. Now it's just like boom, and it's so beautiful. So I love that. You know, I don't have a whole lot of conscious awareness of certain things. However, I do exactly as I'm guided, and miracles and magic happens when I allow that.
And it's almost sometimes it's like a thought for me as well, but it won't go away until it's been expressed and acknowledged.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you get that feeling like, oh, okay. I'm gonna have to say this now, or I'm gonna have to go do this. Like, oh, okay. So it's interesting. Susanna Mara, she was doing a live one time, and her light language was so activating to me, and I found myself crying and shaking, and I just felt called to reach out just to express gratitude. And just, you know, just how much I appreciated her messages. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm complete. Nope, ask her about the code. I'm like, okay, this might sound strange, but do you ever do sacred exchange and, you know, do codes for people? And she's like, oh yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, okay, well, I'm supposed to get a code from you, so however that looks like. And that just opened up this whole inner work for the last, you know, about 4 or 5 weeks that I've been doing after I received that code and started sitting with it and meditating it. And just so many more things opened up for me as a result of that. So trust your guidance, trust that intuition, no matter how crazy you might think it sounds to say certain things to people, or however you're guided. Go down this street instead of this street. You know, we don't know how our presence, just the presence of our frequency, as I'm driving around, I'm singing, and I'm singing light language, and I'm just imagining gold and light just emanating like from my heart, filling my car, filling everywhere I go. And so sometimes I'll just put my hand out the window and I'm just sending love. This, like, and however that's going to impact whoever is coming into the vicinity of this frequency. I trust that it's been divinely orchestrated.
I love that. And I think a lot of the time, as you said, it's just about us standing in a certain place. It's just about our energy frequency being in a certain place at a certain time as well. Like sometimes it is to meet someone, or you pick something up off the ground, or, you know, when you're out shopping, it's to pick up a certain thing. But sometimes it is just to be present somewhere, because all the time we're walking, it's like we're leaving a trail of sparkles behind us. That's how I originally visualize it. We're actually leaving codes as well.
Yes.
Even if we're not speaking light language, just from being present, me and you on this call today, we're exchanging codes and exchanging them with everyone on the call as well. So there's always that energetic kind of interaction. And it's, yeah, it's interesting when you're kind of going this way and you're like, but I wanted to go that way.
Yeah.
It's like you're talking to your body going, why are we going this way? Ah, that's why.
Yes.
Yeah. So your sessions that you do as well, I think a lot of us, the way that we do those has changed from how we originally did them. Do you want to kind of speak around that as well?
Sure, absolutely. So when people feel called to work with me, I like to talk to them for like an hour beforehand and just kind of hear where they are, hear their story, the programs and the distortions that they may have about themselves, and be able to just begin to remind them, tune their language, bring their awareness to the words that they're speaking over themselves. And then I ask them to set intentions for our time together, and to actually write them out. And so, yeah, it's definitely changed from the way that I used to do it, because now I ask people to actually send me a photograph of themselves, and I'll go into meditation and I'll consciously, my higher self connecting with their higher self, and then Source God Creator, to create this triad. And I ask to receive what crystals, what codes, what frequency is best in support of what their intentions are. And then it's like downloaded into me. I don't know how else to put human words to what it is. But when I come out of the meditation, I like to have that like 24 hours before I have a session with someone. And then, yeah, I create these grids with like the person's picture in the center, and I'll like actually cut out their intentions and put them around specific places. And, you know, my grids don't look like other people's grids, but it is as I am guided to do. And I trust that the energies are amplifying whatever it is specific to what they are desiring to get out of the session. And then I'll talk to people for like an hour. Again, a little more in-depth heart to heart, and bring them into the moment. And then we'll take a break, and then for about a half an hour, it's just whatever's gonna come through. and it's unique to each person. I never really know. And sometimes I've set up these great grids and I think I'm going to have a session in here, and I'm guided to go out someplace on the property, and I actually have the session out in nature. So I'm just in the place of surrender to however it may look like. And the people that feel called to work with me, and they appreciate that. It's you never know what kind of experience you're going to have, but miracles. I am so grateful to be of service in this way and to bring about just that spark. I see myself as a catalyst, just to remind people, that which you see in me, I see in you. We are the same, we are one. And I'm just an activator. I just remind people that, this greatness, this divinity is you. We are the same. So yeah, it's been fantastic. And I do sessions with animals as well, and I love that. That's so much fun. I love connecting in with people's animals and helping them in that way. So yeah, it's been great. It's nice, with the COVID, to be able to continue to flow abundance into my experience, and be able to help people who, not everybody is fortunate to have 40 acres to have a staycation on. Some people are in Brooklyn, New York, in an apartment, and to be able to consciously send out that which I'm amplifying and creating here, and connecting in with others heart to heart, and being able to bring that light and that joy into their experience when we are in interesting time. We are experiencing an interesting shift, and it's just about being the unbiased observer to that play that we are witness to. And my guidance is crystal clear to just continue to hold the highest frequency and continue to speak words over the best and highest timeline for all of humanity, and to not go down the rabbit holes of figuring out the dark agenda or whatever it is may be. Is it's like, I'm not giving any energy or attention to that. My focus is on what I'm shown is the future of this amazing planet, and our liberation, humanity's liberation, and peace and love and compassion for this world. And that's what I hold space for. And that's what a lot of my guidance is to do just every day. Yes, I do a lot of work with the animals and I do sessions, but a lot of times I'm just guided to be in meditation, and frequently I'm just visualizing myself. I feel called to just kind of plot myself into different areas around the world, and again, I do as I'm called, and then I'm there, and in the middle of like millions of people like all around me, and then I just open, and it just expand out like so much love and light. And so I'm grateful to be of service in that way as well.
And just to go back to what you were saying about the animals as well, I don't know if this is, have you ever filmed yourself treating animals?
No, but I've been called to. Yeah, I just took a couple of pictures of Squirrely, and there's like all this light coming out and everything, and I need to. Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. I have a young man that started living with us a year ago. He's 18, and he had challenges, a lot of contrast growing up, and so he's so grateful to be here. And he said something to me the other day. He's like, I have never seen anybody love animals the way that you do, and I've never seen them react like that with anybody. And he's like, it's just really the most beautiful thing to see. I was just like, oh, thank you for noticing, thank you for seeing. That's really beautiful. So it is an honor.
And they feel the resonance, don't they? They respond to that resonance. When I first was attuned to Reiki, I would love to do sessions on animals, because they were so receptive to it. There's no, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? They just feel the energy and just totally relax into it. And they're asleep within, or in that space between awake and asleep. They very quickly go into that calm place.
Yeah.
And there was something beautiful I watched a while ago that was about, I'm pretty sure it was a wolf that was had something going on, neurological, I think it was. And you could see when it first came in, it was like, I think it must have been a wolf that was in a sanctuary. And at first, the wolf was kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? And couldn't get up on the table at first. I think it had to be lifted up onto the table. And at first was a little bit like, whoa. And then quickly, could feel the energy, and you could just see the wolf softening. And then it showed consecutive times, and how this time when he came in, paws were on the table straight away.
Right. Yeah.
I know what I'm here for. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But just to see how animals react, if anyone is in doubt of the authenticity of this kind of work, there's no placebo effect with an animal. It clearly is having an effect on them.
Oh yeah. When I call them like little love sessions, and I'll sing their name, and I've got a lot of animals, but I like to give them all, like, look in their eyes and touch them, and they'll line up. They'll line up. Next thing I know, and there's a cat over my head, and like, so all of a sudden, like, everybody's on the futon with me, and they're waiting their turn, and they'll get their little songs, and they just, you're right, they just, like, they melt. They're just like, it's just so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, next. And then shoot, they move right in. It's just so cool, so beautiful.
And there's so much more awareness on the part of the animals. For example, I have a good friend, Heather, in Australia, and she has been communicating telepathically with animals for a long, 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 long time. And I remember her telling me how she was having an in-depth conversation with a horse about, I think it was about Buddha. Like, there's a lot more awareness with animals of us and about our lives than we give them credit for as well.
Yeah. My dogs are connected to the galactics. So they see, of course, they see interdimensionally, multidimensionally. And when we're walking through the woods, I know they're seeing elementals, and just like, and they chase them, and I don't like that. And my dogs are naughty sometimes, but yeah, they are very perceptive, very perceptive. And I had a dog that would pop in and out of portals. You'd be walking and he'd be right there beside you, and then gone. And then you'd be like, Panda, where'd Panda go? And then all of a sudden he'd be like, whoop, right there again. I'd be like, oh man, where are you going? What are you doing? And he'd come back and he'd be all just like so happy. It was so funny. It was really sweet. Yeah.
Now, Shelley and I next week are we're going to do a call together, and it's going to be a little bit different from the Love Speaks Love call. We've both been connecting a lot with the Hathor's energies recently, and I've been feeling the Hathor's energy coming in really strong in regards to this call. And this is one that we are asking for. There's a suggested exchange of £22. But as always, if anyone is not in a position for that, but your heart is wanting you to come, then please get in touch with either Shelley or myself, because we won't turn people away. If you're not able to give the full amount, a donation, or to help us publicise it, or whatever. And I'll just, when I was out in nature before, I was kind of asking for some guidance as to what I feel we'll be bringing in. And the first thing I got was activation of the lower 3 chakras and upgrading the geometries, and also activating a ruby octahedron that's kind of starting from solar plexus. And I actually feel going down to Earth Star, but it's definitely activating those lower 3 chakras. I got that there's going to be a solar activation in it and connecting to the solar logos, and that people will be taken to the divine solar temple, which is interesting as well, because you've got such a sun such as some connection as well. I kind of chuckled when that bit came in. And the emerald ray as well. And the emerald ray is not just emerald green in colour, it holds the essence of emerald as well. And for me, it's very much about the heart chakra. And what I was told about that was that it would be to activate the inner galactic chamber of the heart and activate an emerald octahedron. But I also feel, as part of this work that we're doing next week, that it's going to increase our telepathic connection to nature and to the creature beings and to the elemental beings as well.
That's beautiful.
Yay.
Yeah.
I am excited for that. So it'll be the same time. It'll be this time next week, and we will do we'll do an event thing for it, and keep you posted on that. And at the end of the call, we'll just share some light language as well, so that you can feel how our energies kind of work together. But I wanted to ask you about your vision for community as well, because I know I've heard you talk on this for a long time. It's so dear to your heart. So yeah.
Well, I always thought that I was just supposed to have an animal sanctuary, that I was the steward of places and the guardian of animals. And then as I gained more awareness and healed those aspects of myself that prevented me from being intimately and connected in with other humans and being able to express myself, I began to have visions, and I was shown visions of, at the time I thought they were pods, and it was actually Archangel Haniel that gave me the message: you're a facilitator, trust God and allow it to be. And the vision continued to grow and expand, and it's kind of like, as my frequency was rising, my ability to tune into the infinite possibilities that are in existence for us, everything is just expanding. So kind of the gist of it now is I'm shown healers, people of different modalities having their own personal space. I'm a very sensitive, energetic being, and being sovereign in my field at times, sometimes a lot of times, is really important to me. And I love people, and I love the idea of community. And I also think that we all need our own personal space. So my vision is to have healers and artists and musicians and people with their craft, with their gifts, with their abilities, to have their own little dome. I'm shown domes, I don't know, they're monolithic domes, aircrete domes, hempcrete. I'm kind of in the place of surrender to how it will look. But them to have their own personal space, and then a studio for their whatever it is that brings them bliss, that they feel that they're here on their mission to do. And this will turn into a healing village, basically, where people can come. There'll be people that live here, and then people who are coming here for healing, to be able to oh, I'm going to spend the day with this acupuncturist and this herbalist, and just go, everybody's going to be right here. And I'm connected in now with, he's 90 something years old. He's a naturopath, very connected in with a lot of very beautiful energy healing, quantum, different machines and things like that. And, all these things, they amplify what we're already we're doing. And so connecting in with that Tesla technology, I am shown the vision of med beds. And, that's, a lot of people think that's kind of Star Trek-y thing, but it's my awareness that there's, over 6,000 technologies that have been suppressed from us, and everything from med beds to replicators, free energy is here. That is where we're going. And so I hold space for the unfolding of that. And, this community, I see vast gardens, permaculture. This is an area that is just abundant in medicinals, wild growing edibles, mushrooms. Like, this is the place. I have an abundance of water, which is the biggest blessing. It comes straight out of the mountain. And this area in particular is just, it's like a tropical rainforest. But it does get cold, but I think it is the highest one to be able to, I don't know, the growing zones on the map. There's, you know, there's just an abundance of things that you can grow here in this area. And so I see hemp production, and I am shown the vision of a huge community dome that's going to be built like with alchemical love, basically. And so sacred waters and sacred geometry and a giant crystal grid in the center. And I see that as a place where we can come together and have events and workshops and ecstatic dance and drum circles and meditation and yoga. And, you know, the sky is the limit for what we can bring here. And to be, you know, free energy off, we're going to be off grid, self-sustaining. And yeah, I get really excited when I start talking about it, because I see it all happening. And like, God actually showed me on the Yancey County like GIS map of the expansion of this place. And I hold space for however that looks. But I am shown it, and it does come into my head a lot. And so I'm just like, again, I'm just in this place of surrender. I don't have to figure it all out. I don't have to get my conscious mind involved, but you know, I've been connecting in with so many. And so, you know, right now I really see this as a time of networking and just making connections of people are like, hey, I hold that same vision too. And I really resonate with that. Since I do have the animal sanctuary here, and for what resonates with me as the type of being that I am, it would be a plant-based community. I have such a reverence for all life. And yeah, I just don't feel like you can love them and eat them. And so yeah, but I'm excited for it's, I see them all over the world. Actually, I see a conscious community and people coming together and helping one another and having their own personal space. So I think it is the way of the future. And I think that, like, you know, this opportunity that we've had to step away from the 3D rat race, you know, we've been forced to be sequestered at home. It's like, you know, this is an opportunity to see like this way of living, this way of being that hasn't been working for us. And we can have these little, you know, self-sustaining communities. I've got several friends that are, you know, having little ones started already, and they've got, you know, giant gardens, and they're kind of connected in with people who are just their neighbors, and they're all kind of coming together in that way. And hey, I've got this, you know, tiller, I can come over and till this for you, and then you have this, and this, you know, beautiful barter and trade way of being. And I really see that that's the way of this future, of this way of being. We are sovereign, and we've been kept as debt slaves, and that is changing. It is no more. I do see a debt jubilee, and I do see a huge economic shift coming on this planet. And yeah, it's exciting times.
I love all that. It sounds amazing. And each time I hear you talk about it, it's like I kind of like see energetic layers, like the foundations growing. And it's almost like you speak about it, and these energetic layers then just start weaving themselves. It's like once they're in place, they're just kind of growing themselves almost. And that it will flow in a really organic way as well, that people will, you know, the right people will hear about it, they'll just turn up.
Yeah.
And if I can't live in the States, then I'd like to come over and you know, help with retreats or do something, even if I can't be there full time.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely see that.
When we first connected, I know you were feeling into the idea of kind of building somewhere there for retreats and that kind of thing. Is that still something that you're kind of feeling into?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just some logistical pieces that need to be worked out. This space that I'm in here now, I've slowly been clearing things out, and it's kind of like I've sat in this space and I didn't think that it was quite adequate for, even just having a little yoga class or something like that. And then a beautiful brother, Tristan, invited me to this yoga class that was in Weaverville, and they're in a building that's almost exactly like this. And I was just like, oh, what am I waiting for here? So yeah, it's exciting. I'm definitely, yeah, taking action to unfold this a little quicker here so that, I can begin to have people come and visit. And yeah, it's exciting.
And tell me a bit more about the land, because it's really, really special, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So I'm presently sitting on 40 acres, and this is sacred Cherokee land. And I'm originally from Sarasota, and I started the animal sanctuary down there. And then we were just really close to some Hurricane Charlie, and that was the year of Charlie, and then Ivan and Francis. And so I never thought I would leave Sarasota. And then I did spend a lot of time in North Carolina when I was a little girl. So I was just like, well, if I have to go anywhere, I don't want to be more than a day's drive from Florida. And my mom has a house about 2 hours from here. So I came up here and started looking, and saw some places online, and none of those panned out. But I picked up just a local newspaper, and it was just a one-line ad. It was like farmhouse. At the time, it was 36 acres on 36 acres with existing barns and fences. And I was just like, oh, I've got a lot of animals to move. That would be really helpful if there were some barns and fences. So my mom and I came here in February. It was snowing, and I'd never driven in snow before, really. And it takes like a good it took us like almost a half an hour to get up the road from town to get up to this place. And then we get out, and as soon as I stepped foot on the land, I was like, this is the place. And my mom is like, you are nuts. You haven't even seen the house yet. Do you really want to be out this far? And I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, but this is the place. And, I hadn't had my awakening then, so I couldn't really explain to her, why I felt so strongly. But I've since done a lot of, tuning in, connecting in, and I believe I had a past life here as a Cherokee. And so when I'm out meditating, I'll actually like remember sitting there like meditating, and I'm just like, whoa. But yeah, so it's got the whole Cherokee and those beautiful energies, all those ancestral energies. And there's a lot of galactic activity here. We see a lot of ships. This area is known for a lot of ships. There is we joke around and call it the landing pad, where, I've been here since 2006. Nothing grows there. And we've always kind of joked around about it. But the other night, my son, he was just getting ready to walk out. It was like 11 o'clock. And he said it came straight up out of there, turned, and then took off. And I was just like, and my daughter saw it and was just like, they were just like, okay, that's some kind of portal over there. And so, yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that go on around here. And I hold space for full disclosure. And I really, I appreciate that I was a first contactee. I was contacted throughout my childhood. Now, they weren't the nicest experiences that I had, and I see why I experienced them. However, I know that those that are here now are benevolent. They are here in support of the divine plan. And I am so grateful for their presence, for our star brothers and sisters. And, who knows what this place may turn into. It may be, the first intergalactic kind of community. Because I feel like I've gone around and created like platforms. I've activated a lot of portals. There's 23 portals on this land, 7 main portals. And I've been called to, I go and I do whatever I'm called to do. And I feel like they're kind of like platforms where these higher dimensional beings can like come in. And those are places of like really high frequency where it feels more comfortable for them instead of, you know, the earth plane as it has been. And I do know that everything is shifting across the globe. However, you know, we have activated these really potent, high energy, you know, portals, and yeah, we'll hold space for this. Will be an intergalactic community, or what it may turn into, but I am grateful for their presence for sure.
Oh, now I just got pinged on something. You said that last thing. I was like, whoa. So I'm reading The New Human, the Mary Rodwell book. Do you know of Mary Rodwell? She's in Australia. Let me just see if I can. Oops, if I can get it. So she's an English lady that's based in Australia, and she does a lot of work with children, but not just children, but people who have had. She calls them experiences. So people who have had experiences of galactic presences. And there's a lot of children who are very aware of their galactic lives and of the presences as well. So this is the, I don't know if that's the right way around, the New Human.
Oh, wow.
And it's really, really interesting. It wasn't what I was expecting to be reading, but I'm really enjoying it. It's so, yeah, people's experiences there, you know, of their encounters, the wisdom that they're given, that kind of thing is being shared in here. So Stephen Greer, as you know, has like he's got an app that's out there, so he connects with the galactics, and he has I don't know what the word would be for them, but gatherings where people get together in their heart space and send a message and ask to connect with the galactics. And it feels a very potent time for this as well, that if this kind of like touches your interest, to do this, to send a telepathic message out to the galactics and say that you'd like to see them, that you'd like to connect with them. It's unlikely that first off they will just, you know, materialize in front of you, but looking to the sky, they may well kind of like, you know, flash you or whatever. You'll be aware of their presence. And if you open to receiving their message as well, then you will receive messages from them. And a lot of us doing the work that we're doing at the moment do connect strongly with the galactics, myself included in that. So what dropped in would also be as something else to offer apart from the healing thing, but a place where people can go and with the intention of connecting with the galactics.
Yeah.
Because it's so kind of secluded there, it would be an amazing place for that to kind of happen.
Yeah. Yeah, like another ESETI. Yeah.
I wondered, when you were talking about the portals, you might not know exactly where they are, but I was intrigued as to whether or not you've kind of like mapped them.
I haven't, but I just got hit when you said that. It's fun, interesting. I was walking, I walk my dogs every day, and really in the last, maybe starting since like March, as soon as it got a little bit warmer, I've been guided to hike barefoot, and I never did that before. But when I was walking yesterday, you know, there's these huge boulders and mossy rocks and all these different places, and it came into my field yesterday. I was like, I should really map out these places, and then it'd be like, oh, you know, here's the elven portal, and and here's, you know, the Cherokee, you know, chief, and, you know, all these different places. There's a rock that looks like a dolphin, and it would be kind of cool to kind of map it all out, and yeah, so thank you for the encouragement.
Yeah, and just to see the geometry of it as well, if there is. I mean, it might be random, but you know, there may be some geometry in there.
Yeah.
And do you feel the presences of beings from inner earth there as well?
Yeah. I've been blessed to join a group that does some astral traveling to a galactic council. I believe there's more than one galactic council, and we go, and sometimes we just receive messages, and other times we're asked if we want to go on a mission. And yesterday we went to inner earth. We went in through the North Pole, and some of the guidance that we were given was to take around these huge crystals to specific places in inner earth. And so there was a rose quartz that was placed, and I was guided to place a malachite under, in a city like under Peru, basically. And then there was this huge, I would call it like a turquoise, but it had like gold veins running through it. And the turquoise itself was infused with like so much joy. Like you couldn't, like so much joy, just like, wow. And we were guided, I was guided to take it to Telos. I have a real connection with Shasta and the Telosians, and of course Lemuria and everything. But yeah, that was placed there. And it's interesting when you mentioned about the lower chakras, because that area is the root chakra, and I really felt a hit then with that work that we were doing and connecting in with the beings of inner earth. And yeah, I love it when synchronicities kind of come in like that. It's like, okay, yeah, now I see why.
And my feeling is that there's portals to inner earth as well. You can probably go in through caves and things, but that there are portals. If you haven't connected with this man in New Zealand, Gary Cook, I think I've got that name right. He has put out a lot of really interesting work, and he was filmed in a documentary that a friend of mine did in New Zealand, Christiane. And when they filmed that, they actually filmed some of the little beings. And by little beings, I'm not necessarily referring to fairies, but beings that are about 3-4 feet tall, that presumably live in inner earth, but in places like New Zealand where there's not so many people, they can be, in outer earth a bit more safely as well. And there were stories of people who'd met them and that kind of thing. And when I'm out in nature around here, I've been asking to connect with the beings from inner earth as well, and kind of, Sasquatch energy as well. And I keep seeing out of the corner of my eyes, I keep seeing like movement that is bigger than what I describe as fairies, but more kind of humanoid, really, with their bodies. And of course, you look as soon as you it's a reflex action that you look and you can't see anything. But he describes that they, what was the sound? That they make a sound, and I think it was like wood on wood, like clapsticks that they have in Australia, that kind of sound, or metal on wood, or wood on metal, that you may hear them first, and that's kind of like an acknowledgement that they know you're there, and they're kind of saying hello. And my feeling is that they alter their energetic signature or their energetic frequency so that they can go into these portals, and our frequency doesn't match up with these, which is why generally we can't go into these portals
yet.
Yeah, interesting. But and I kind of see us walking through rock almost as well. It's like the rock would kind of, and then there's an entry. And places like Ireland and around here as well, there's stories of things like that happening in this area as well. It's kind of very special energy around here. But in Ireland, that kind of thing, you know, is more prevalent and it's more talked about. That people might disappear for a while and they may be gone for months, but actually it's, you know, a short time here or whatever, but they kind of accidentally step into these portals and disappear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Sasquatch?
I have not. No. I had a lot of fears as a little girl, mostly because of the experiences that I had at the hands of the non-benevolent ETs. So I, just until recently, I wouldn't go anywhere out in the woods by myself. And now, you know, now that I feel comfortable, I know I'm divinely protected everywhere, I'll go out for hours and just connect in. I don't know that well, yeah, okay. I was like, I don't know if Sas, yes, yeah, okay. But no, yeah, they've not shown themselves to me. There are some very large cat-like beings that there's a man that's down the road. He says he sees like really large cat beings. And I have seen some interesting signs on trees that looks like a cat. He's used it as a giant scratching post. But I've not seen them in the physical. I'm very connected with the Lyrans, and so I do definitely feel a lot of you know, that type of energy here. And so I don't know if he's seen Lyran beings or what he's actually seen, but he's just like a regular like local guy who he can't talk to this stuff about, you know, with anybody. So he and I've had a couple chats, and it's always nice to connect in with others because they're like, oh my God, thank God I'm not going crazy. And I'm like, no, it's all good. You know, it's reassuring for people. And you know, in the beginning, I didn't talk about, you know, this stuff with hardly anybody. You know, I really isolated myself from my family, and I was just like, I'm having experiences where people are calling me unicorns, and, you know, I'm connecting in with all these different energies and all these different awarenesses. And so I think it's just really nice to be able to speak openly of what our experiences are. And then you have the awareness like, oh, wow, you experienced that too. That's so awesome. I talked to my mom about that a lot. Like, wow, like, yeah, my whole life, everything in my experience, I have a master's degree in education. I had the, you know, regular kind of conventional life. And now like connecting in with fairies and dragons and unicorns. And, you know, I do sessions with people and they say I, you know, transfigure into galactic beings and different things. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's all good. It's beautiful. It's all just love. It's all just God's love, just expressions of God's love. That's what it is, to remind people. Yeah.
And I think for anyone who's interested in this kind of stuff as well, that when you're out in nature, just call them in, you know, call in the beings, or send a message from your heart. And it's about being in your heart space. They can feel our energy, they know our intentions, and if we're benevolent or not. And, you know, if you don't want to actually see them, if that would be too scary, they would understand that. Same with the galactics as well. That's why the galactics tend not to appear to us, is because we would probably actually freak. We might think that we would like to see that, but actually we might well freak a little bit. But send love. That's the first thing. Just send love and acknowledgement as well. And I feel that disclosure could be on many levels. That when we are ready as a human species, and this I think will start happening more individually, so that when people are in their heart space, they're much more likely to connect with these beings. So these stories may be slightly underground, but that more and more people will start to have these experiences, be it with the galactics or with the beings of inner earth. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the first times I went out into the woods by myself at night, and just, you know, looking at the places of fear that I was still carrying, you know, within me, and trusting, you know, I'm out in the woods and it's dark, and I'm you know, connecting in with the beings, with the galactics, and I felt their presence like all around me, but it was kind of like, behind me, and I felt like I can't describe it, but I was just like, and they're like, see, you're still scared. And I was just like, just show yourselves, damn it. Of course I'm going to be jumpy if you're all like shifting around behind me. Just like appear in front of me and just like, let's just get this over with here, because, you know, if you're like slinking around in the background or ducking behind trees, or, you know, as I'm walking around and stuff, it's like, just let's just like, you know, let's just sit down and have tea together or something, you know, let's just like get it over with, that initial shock of like whatever your physical appearance may be. You know, let's just be done with that part of it, and see how we can work together, like moving forward. There's so many technologies that have been suppressed from us. I really believe that, you know, we're going to see great shifts here rapidly as these you know, become more spoken of and known, and you know, it's a whole new paradigm that's coming. So hang on.
Hang on to your seats.
That's right.
Yeah, you pinged me on something there, but it's not quite not quite coming to me. No. Would you like to share some light language?
Sure, I would be honored to. Erene ku aya mi ku shuai derne ki amya daya dua miete hue mietia ai orum ki ai dua derenetia hua merenea voromekia beshu beai Hai kia tu uan berete ia muaki ua hu dem tu aniete aku ai huemia de ai me uai de ea hue dea muaki aya dea.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Kia paran era kia est orat in ele ara. Od ene kia paralana kia est ora. Kulstara in era on o kiera. Ora an ara kia parat us eparla kia parat inde dit orat in ma. Ele kan ost or era und ut or et era. Und le hia ut on o kar. Erst hiam be ara kiem met et oi. Kol est ara kiem ne eratut on. El kust oren namakana Ilihiama et ut era onkum. Erst orla nagi lepa ant ut orl apakat an ut ul. Malero naki abreto. Kulle bedla baki ist ut an namaki out. An kiala kust oret an ora. Ki renochum met dera ki barat ut ora. Ileki amana ki li korut labakeret ut utst ut abara. At ut labakille beker unuye. Mest arale ero untui. Kiana mekiare di rost ut oret barat eki it. El era no honamaki aro ko matatata. Nehiam it ist ora ki le aro unuk it lapaka el eron ora ere etot ora amaka est era ut data ara eret it wisht el ihiama an oko is ora ara ut wisht ara. I'm so looking forward to next week because we've talked about this for a while. I'm really looking forward to sharing space with you in this. And although I, said some of the things that I feel we'll be working with next week, as with these things, often on the day, it's kind of, really whatever wants to come through as well. But it feels very galactivating.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Is there anything else you would like to share, my dear?
I'll probably think about something after we sign off, but as of this now moment, I feel complete. I'm really grateful to have had the opportunity to chat with you, and I'm so looking forward to next week.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm very excited, and thank you so much for honouring us here with your beautiful, glowing, sunny, sunshine, galactic, earthly presence.
It's my honor.
And thank you to everybody who has watched us live and who watches on the replay or on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Inner Peace with Denise. So feel free.
I love that. That's awesome.
Corny. It's a bit corny, but yeah, it does stick in your memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is show number 27, I think. So all the other shows are on there as well. So feel free to subscribe to that. If you're not already following Shelley, then I suggest you do. And there's a Love Speaks Love page as well, which I never invite people to. There's not many people. I'm a bit shy about that kind of thing. I'm not the best at throwing those things out there. But yeah, if you'd like to see all the chats, they're all on there as well. And yeah, feel free to share this. That's always helpful. And I don't know who I've got next week yet. We'll be doing this time next Wednesday, but I imagine that I will have another guest as well next week for Love Speaks Love. So thank you to everybody. Thank you especially, Shelley.
I love you.
I love you too. Love,
I love you all.
I'm going to stop the live stream now.
Blessings.